Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Browns Latest. I'm Dave Grendzynski, and this is where you can get caught up on some of the latest news involving our favorite team in the NFL. That is, of course, the Cleveland Browns. And then you get a take along the way tied to each news item that we present to you. Thank you to everyone who has liked our previous episodes and to all of you who have subscribe to the channel. We are ever so close. We've never been this close to 7,000 than today. But as soon as we get there, we will change the fit for just one day, just like we've changed our surroundings for this week. We're still with the Shedeurs. There they are, the Shedeurs. For the rest of the week. So thank you for bearing with us with the change on that. And then also thank you to everyone who gets their comments in the viewer comment section. Now, coming up on today's show, there's no practice today, but another morning session in Berea reveals something about the rookie quarterback battle. Dug into the list of the free agent cornerbacks that I presented to you yesterday, and I'm honing in on one who I think could be a possibility to replace Martin Emerson Jr., and I think the money could be right. The deeper we get into this quarterback battle, though, it is between Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. It is really starting to look more and more like another famous quarterback battle from years ago. I'll explain. And down in the viewer comments, I'm called a liar. We'll find out. We'll sort it all out. Don't worry. We will do it all here in the next 10, 12 minutes. But let's start here like we always do. Today, no practice. So they get the day off today. And then they'll be back at it tomorrow with another afternoon session. That's where we'll hear from the tight ends coach and the linebackers coach. Two very interesting positions with Harold Fannin Jr. and David Njoku. And then, of course, the Jordan Hicks retirement. Everybody will probably want to know where we're going if we're going to find somebody to replace him. And then you see there on Saturday, practice is back to the morning session, and only Kevin Stefanski will be available on Saturday to talk. But we've got some things to talk about that happened yesterday. And first off, one of the things that you saw yesterday, for the first time ever, during a Kevin Stefanski training camp, was tackling during the team drills. And so again, remember we told you this is going to be a more intense training camp. Remember last year they tried to pull back on it and because they were trying not to get guys hurt, and it didn't. It ended up it got hurt anyway. So they made a commitment this year to make training camp tougher, and they want this team calloused. Remember with some of those words we had heard, they want this team hardened and ready to go, man. So the intensity is being ramped up this year, and you saw it firsthand yesterday with the tackling. DeJuan Jones did get injured, left on a cart, but doesn't appear to be serious. It happened during individuals, so word is not serious. But this is a delicate situation, folks, with him. I mean, we need him at left tackle, and injuries have been a problem for him ever since we drafted him. But we just got to hope for the best. Hopefully, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of precautionary measures being taken with him. So nothing serious as far as we can tell there. Then it was time for, it was that quarterback battle. Time to get it going. And Dillon Gabriel was up first, and for 11 on 11s. And here's one thing that was very revealing from yesterday's practice. It really looks like they're fast tracking Dillon Gabriel to try and make sure he's ready to potentially be the backup. But Shedeur is not. He's not going away. I mean, he is in the conversation every single day. And so let's do it. Let's look at that quarterback tracker. There it is. Flacco 3 for 7. I mean, he doesn't need a ton of reps, but he's not the long-term solution. Shedeur 6 for 10. Gabriel 6 for 11 with a touchdown. Pickett's still not practicing. Gabriel had a nice deep ball to Caden Davis. We saw some good deep balls yesterday. Shedeur had another. Also had a nice deep ball yesterday. So, both of these guys with an equal amount of chances at yesterday's practice, but, Dylan Gabriel getting the first shot at but Shedeur's getting his shots with the first team defense now. And so this is a quarterback battle, folks. And this is what you want. This is exactly what we want. We haven't had something like this in years, where the competition is just creating just better players, better in the quarterback room. And it starts with Flacco and his experience that the two young guys can work off of, and then they go at each other. And so there's nothing more that you want right now. Both Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders just keep getting better and better each practice. That is exactly what you want. You want both of these guys to just keep improving, because you want your QB1 of the future to be in the room right now, so we can use those draft picks next year in other areas. You see how fast things change, not just at the quarterback position, but at linebacker, at cornerback, on the offensive line. Like you need depth, and that's where you use those draft picks to start building depth, and we have not been able to do that. And so, that's why this is such a great thing, to see both of these guys just keep improving every day like they've been. So that's what we want to see. We want to see both of them balling out each day. Now, we talked about that depth. It has been, we told you yesterday, Martin Emerson Jr. done Achilles, so he'll have surgery. And Greg Newsome, I guess, is going to get the first crack. He plays in the slot, but they're going to try him outside. But also Cam Mitchell, his name came up, and we mentioned him yesterday. And I was looking. I presented that list to you yesterday of free agent cornerbacks, and I at first glance I'm like, I just don't know who we can make work. Because either they're too old, in my opinion, or the money's not going to work, or thanks to Sean, we're not going to be able to fit them in monetarily. But if the one name, and I'm here, let me show you. Here's the list again. But right there in the about the middle of the page, Asante Samuel Jr. He's still on the beach. He played with the Chargers last year and suffered a neck injury, but he should be good to go this year. And he's only 25. And here's what I think. You might be able to get him on like a 1-year show me deal. And, and make it incentive laden, keep the salary down, but just throw in a bunch of incentives and see if you can't get Asante Samuel Jr. in there. Now, the problem is his agent knows we have a need. And so before we didn't have a need. It might have been easier to negotiate that contract. But now, his agent knows we have a need. So, but like I said, upon further review, it could be, Asante Samuel Jr. could be an option for us as a free agent pickup in that cornerback slot. Now, this quarterback battle between Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, it's like almost like history is repeating itself in some ways, with another famous quarterback battle that happened back in 2012, but it wasn't with the Browns. It was with Washington. It was Kirk Cousins and RG3, Robert Griffin III. And if you remember, let's look at some of these similarities. RG3 was the high-profile draft pick, number 2 overall. Okay, so Dylan Gabriel, our 3rd round, not quite the same as RG3, but 3rd round pick. So obviously, they wanted him. They took him higher than Shedeur, and then they took Cousins in the 4th round, like 100 picks later. And so there's Shedeur, falls to the 5th, and there he is. So RG3 started strong, had a great rookie year, and then struggled with injuries and consistency. Cousins started initially as the backup. So look at the situation we're in right now. It really looks like they're trying to get Dylan Gabriel in, it looks like right now they want him to be the backup because he was taken first, right? 3rd round pick versus the 5th round pick. But there's Shedeur. Just keeps coming out there and playing and playing and playing. And that's what happened. Cousins just kept playing and getting better and better and better. And then it really helped the Commanders because they were, in the end, they were able to find their QB1. And so, the competition, they like, you go back and look at it, it really shaped, their franchise's direction. You had two different styles of quarterbacks, like Dylan Gabriel, left shoulder, left-handed. They have to move the pocket, do some different things with him. Then, just like RG3, then you had Cousins, was a traditional style. Shedeur, more of a traditional drop-back passer. RG3 started first. Cousins was the backup. And then he eventually overtook RG3 because of RG3's his injuries and then, his inconsistencies. And Cousins, better health, better pocket effectiveness, and then a shifted coaching preference. So, like, I started thinking about this, and I'm like, man, it's like this is almost in some ways like history repeating itself, But really, folks, there's nothing better than to have both Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders just take the ball and keep running. And then if and when Dylan Gabriel got hurt, Shedeur is right there, ready to take over. And, I mean, this could be a very similar situation with two rookie quarterbacks that what Washington ended up having with RG3 and Kirk Cousins. So now, one thing that, history might be repeating itself, but one thing that's always on repeat are the viewer comments. And today we're going to start with this. Okay, I got lambasted in the comments. Maya Coxunlaga, who says, remember the other day, the 2-minute drill, when Gabriel got it down to the 5, spiked it with 5 seconds left, and then threw the pick on the goal line. Shedeur's chance fizzled. He had a penalty and a sack, and the drive stalled after 4 plays. But Maya says the 2-minute situation was the most important drill. Gabriel moved the ball into scoring position, and she says she has seen Browns podcasters calling it a pick 6. She said it wasn't a pick 6. She said these podcasters are just lying. In the same drills with the 2s, Shedeur couldn't move the ball. She's like, nothing. Dylan moved the ball against the 1s. Shedeur's passes, even in the drills, are under 5 yards. And he's not trying to throw the second-level passes that are supposed to be what he excels at. All these highlights throws are lobs over the top. Why am I lying about how bad Dylan is and how great Shedeur is when it's not true? You're lying. Why? I'm not lying. I report to you what happens out there in training camp. When balls are batted down, they're batted down. And I literally said yesterday, everybody had a good day. And I'm saying it today, Maya. Both of those guys, Shedeur and Gabriel, had good days. They both had good days yesterday. And you know what, Maya? We want this every single day. We want both of them to keep balling out. We want Stefanski to go home every night, scratching his head, wondering who he's going to start at QB1. Out of those two, we want the quarterback of the future to be in the room right now. And actually, we want them both. How about that? We want both of these guys to succeed. That is what I'm saying, Maya. We have longed for a quarterback in Cleveland since the days of Bernie Kosar. We don't care who it is. We just want to win. We want this quarterback nonsense to be over. Have you ever seen the jersey with all the names? We're tired of it. We want someone in there who's going to win games. Bottom line. That is why the quarterback situation in Cleveland, it is such a touchy subject with Cleveland Browns fans. It's very delicate, and everything is under the microscope, and everything is going to be ripped apart and put back together again because we are very sensitive to the quarterback situation. But I appreciate the take, Maya. It's a great take, and I value your opinion. I appreciate it. Okay, insert human here says, listen, in the red zone, I'd rather have a drive stall and get a field goal. And he said, a damn interception is no points. A damn turnover. Any debates? Well, here's what I will say about this. Insert human here. It's a drill, right? Yes, in a game, if they needed a field goal, they would have just kicked the field goal, right? But this is different, and yeah, there are going to be times in these 2-minute drills where you need a touchdown, but here's what I'll say: rather have it happen in training camp than in a real game. right? So that's why they do this. They put that pressure on them, both of them. You know, and now Shedeur's running against the ones too. So, you know, there's going to be those teaching moments. And so that's what those are for. You get those teaching moments out of it. Now, if it happens consistently, it happens again and again and again, then it's a huge problem. First time out, running that drill, and you know, I'm okay with that. If it's a teaching moment, you learn. You know, you learn from the mistakes. You celebrate the wins. You learn from the losses. That's what I've always told the kids when I coached. So, all right, Carnivore Sisters 8022 says Shedeur is his only competition is with himself, and in some respects that's true. I mean, and same with Dylan Gabriel. Block out the noise. Go out there every single day, like we've been saying, and just whatever's in front of you, take care of it. Tear up whatever's in front of you. That's all they have to focus on. And then David Speyer. Now this is interesting take. The linebacker situation with the Hicks retirement. He says if Kendricks, which he was on the list we showed the other day, if Eric Kendricks is available, that's the linebacker we need to sign ASAP. He's like, I didn't even realize he's a free agent. That's crazy. Now Kendricks is a free agent because his contract with Dallas last year expired. Now there was word that several teams would be interested in him, and problem is he's probably going to cost around $4 million to get him in here. I mean, if the Browns can make that money, or maybe that's another incentive-laden guy you can get, but he's 33. That's the problem, though. You know, that's the other thing you have to look at. I mean, I hate to say it, but in NFL terms, that's old. And so, but Eric Kendricks is a name that popped out to David Speyer, and he made it known in the comments, and I appreciate it, David Speyer. And I love your first name. And we'll end on Actremain ESO, who says, now, if the Browns would have just taken Travis Hunter, the Emerson injury wouldn't have mattered. And here's what I say. I say this all. Hindsight is 2020 because everybody else always says, "Oh, we could have had Hunter and Shedeur and that." But hindsight's 2020. We never knew. Nobody knew Shedeur was going to fall to the 5th round, even if it took Travis Hunter at 2. But here's what I'll say about that. Even though they passed on Hunter, they got Myles Garrett the help he needed on the defensive line, and everything that we've seen so far out of Mason Graham has been nothing but positive. And so that's the trade-off. So maybe you didn't get Travis Hunter to play at the corner, and maybe he could have helped with Martin Emerson going down. But we got Myles Garrett that help, and that's going to be fun to watch. All that help Myles Garrett now has on that defensive line should help him, but also help across the board, help the entire defense. So it should be a great thing to watch. Great thing to be with you again today. We're still with the Shedeurs for the rest of the week. Hope you like the Shedeurs. If you like the Shedeurs, you could throw a comment in the thing. I mean, yeah, I think they're pretty nice. But all right, that's gonna do it for today's show. Again, no practice today, but we might have something very special for you come tomorrow. Stay tuned. All right, go Browns. We'll see you next time.